Konnichiwa. This is Tom, Ghost of Matsubara, your man in Japan, coming to you today with another episode of Kanji Hunter. I do not claim to be the best at kanji. I do not claim to have the best handwriting. I do this because I have some students that I'm hoping to inspire to read, write, and play with the Japanese language and not feel that kanji is so scary and overwhelming. The feature for today's kanji was suggested to me on Twitter by the guitarist of The Fates, Megu. Megu suggested that I look at Tsurai and Toru, which are two really cool kanji that historically come from some kind of scary, dark places. Today, we're just going to look at Tsurai, or Karai. Tsurai and Karai share the same kanji, but they mean different things. When you see this kanji, quite often you'll see it as spicy, Karai. Right? Like any kind of spicy food like hot peppers or, wasabi even. Those kind of spicy flavors are karai. And it's related also to the reason that this kanji represents tsurai, when tsurai means like painful or difficult in the sense of going through a situation or an ordeal. In Japanese, that's said as tsurai. Now, this kanji, interestingly enough, comes from tattoo culture. Now, if you look over here at this explanation, you can see in ancient Asian culture, this tattoo needle was actually a big part of the all that was going on. And we'll get more into it later with the kanji that I have for my last example. The toes! So this kanji actually comes out in both the tome and the Kanji Necronomicon.
The Kanji Necronomicon.
Both of these two books look at kanji in depth in the sense of their etymology and where they came from historically. So I really enjoy both of these books. This book in particular touches on some dark topics, but for the most part it just goes over in general how things came to be and how they came to represent what they represent. This book, on the other hand, is called Kanji is Scary. And it goes into many, many kanji, some shared in this book, but many kanji that just come from really dark places or scary situations. So tsurai or karai, the kanji that represents this, it's meant to look like a tattoo needle, a big old tattoo needle. And I've actually, this tattoo, you're supposed to look at it this way. This tattoo that I got right here, it was done in the tebori style. I got it done in Thailand, so it's not considered wabori. Wabori is Japanese old-style long needle tattoo. But this was done in that same style, but it's a different cultural artwork. So this is considered by the Japanese to be tebori. So this kanji represents both tsurai, to go through a painful situation or endure something that's unpleasant, as well as karai. And now the reason that it's used to represent spicy in the sense of food is because they considered that taste to be your tongue being stabbed by like 1,000 little needles. So that's what the ancient Asians considered spicy to be. All right. Anyway, so let's draw this. So on the top here, you're actually drawing the kanji for stand or tatsu. And then underneath it, you got that. And so it kind of looks like a tattoo needle. All right, and I'm going to say not too bad for my abilities, and that came out pretty well, I think. Now, let's look at a couple interesting examples where we use this kanji as an implied radical. So the first example I want to show you is this. This is sho. Sho, as you can see, means mistress in Japanese. Now, the reason this is interesting is because the way they decided to represent this vocabulary word is by putting that first top part that you see that's the same in tsurai or karai. They use that to represent the top of the old needle, right? And they've put this over the kanji for woman. Now, this is because if a person committed a crime, and this is why there's a stigmatism against tattoos in Japan.
I love tattoos.
Tattoos are associated with prisoners in ancient Asian culture. And the reason is if somebody did something bad, they would mark them, right? And in their philosophy, if they had done a crime against society, they had done a crime against the gods, right? So if you committed a crime against the gods, they would mark you with the needle, the same needle that they write their prayers with. These are promises to the gods, right? So they would mark prisoners with tattoos, and you commit certain crimes and they would tattoo you with certain emblems or certain symbols, right? If a woman committed some kind of crime against the gods, they would tattoo her forehead in some way. So they would tattoo the woman's forehead, and then whoever was the representative of God on earth, right, the king or the emperor or whatever, she would become his mistress or concubine.
Jesus!
All right, I wanted to show you this example as my last example because I thought it was the coolest. In ancient Asian culture, they used the tattoo needle to inscribe their prayers to the gods. And they put these prayers in a box called a sai. All right, so I wrote this all down over here, so check this out. So in ancient times, the symbol looked like this. And this bottom part here is supposed to represent the prayer box, or the sai, as they called it, that they would put their written prayers in. And this top part was the needle, that big same tattooed needle that they tattooed prisoners with and everything else. So they wrote their prayers with that needle and put them in this box. And so over time, they, for the sake of making writing easier and making things quicker and easier to teach to people, they made it into radicals, right? So they used that radical that we've been looking at with but now we look at this in Japanese and I guess in Chinese as well, as kuchi, or mouth. So that square that you always see, usually when you see it, it means mouth, right? But it comes from this old prayer box. I thought this was really interesting when I was looking into it. But anyway, so over time it became that, and now in modern times it's this. And I gotta say, that's totally different. I always pictured it as like sideways, and there was a mouth and sound waves coming out. So my envisioning of why this was totally wrong. Anyway, as you can see, now it means iu, the verb iu, which is to say, right? And I wrote this example up here to see your radicals at work. We learned the radical for hito a long time ago. Now, a hito relying on words is shinjiru. That's to believe, right? Shinjiru, right? If people say something and you trust them, you take their word for it, you believe them. Shinjiru, right? Also, the promises or prayers that they say up to the gods, right? People are relying on that. They believe them. Shinjiru. Ah, very cool. I love kanji. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. I enjoyed today's episode. Thank you to Megu for this example. I think this is a great idea, and we will definitely do Toru in a later episode. Also, you should find Megu and the Fates online. They're on Instagram, they're on Facebook, they are on Twitter. So check them out. I have linked their info below. You can contact me on Instagram and Twitter at Kanji_Hunter. I'm also on Facebook, Kanji Hunter Official, or you can send me an email at tomsenseingu@gmail.com. Please like, comment, subscribe, smash that notification bell, and until next time, mata ne.